Hello, here we are, 8:03 Central Time, AM. I talked about this yesterday on the Kentucky Dale live broadcast. This is 2016 Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition, okay? I know a little vial of it. I don't have a pretty bottle to show you. Reason being is I didn't buy this. Yesterday, someone literally walked up to me and said, "Oh, I have this," he said, "I have this Pappy Van Winkle sample in a vial. Would you like it?" He said, "But you can't tell anybody who gave it to you." I said, "Okay." Open the window. Of course, I'd like to try it, and so I promised I wouldn't say. But it was really old Rip Van Winkle 10-year. Wasn't, but it was part of the Van Winkle line. This is like the low end one. You know, it's only $60 a bottle for the 750 milliliter. And that's a Sazerac brand. But I'm going to jump off track from Sazerac because I've been doing Sazerac. Well, I did Beams 8-star. That's Beam Suntory. I also did Courvoisier from them. And then I did Sazerac Rye Whiskey last year or the year before, which was very good. And I did the Kentucky Dale, also Sazerac. That's a very low-end brand. Of course, the Sazerac Rye was head and shoulders above the Beams 8-star or the Kentucky Dale. Obviously, I knew that going in. I didn't know anything about Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition, but I had heard about Four Roses. So I got on their website and I did some research about them. It was an independent company, started in the 1880s. The Four Roses Bourbon started in 1888, became pretty popular, and I'm going to click on this little add-on page. It was so popular that it was bought by Seagram's, the huge distilling company, in the 1920s, or like 1920 something. Well, that was during Prohibition, so a lot of those companies did overseas or, you know, foreign distilling, whatever. And then Seagram's got in trouble because they were bootlegging, or they were at least accused by the Canadian government, U.S. government, of doing bootlegging and not following the law. But that's the past, right? Seagram's continued to own it, but then that company itself began to collapse due to bad business practices, such as investing in things that they didn't really need to be worrying about, like buying amusement parks and all those kind of things. All right, so it got acquired by Diageo, and now it's owned by Mitsubishi, okay? Same people that own Kirin. So common practice in the food and beverage industry, one company buys another, and they'll trade brands, just like Sazerac bought Southern Comfort from Brown-Forman recently. All right, so let's see if I can get this going. Don't see this page coming up yet, but we'll try it as far as getting live input from people. I'm gonna go ahead and reset this. Let's check it out. It's a pretty bottle. Oh yeah, there we go. There's a little lag on it. On the website, which I posted on this page, the small batch, and there's a whole bunch of varieties. They say mingling multiple bourbon recipes is an art in itself. I bet that's true. 4 original and limited bourbon recipes have been expertly selected by our master distiller, who, by the way, has a degree in chemistry, and who took over last year after the long-term guy had retired. I said this before, and videos. You want to make it in the big beer, wine, and liquor world. You're going to need that bachelor's of science degree in food science, biology, chemistry, those kind of things. You look at Anheuser-Busch or Miller, Coors, Molson Coors, and all of those guys, Constellation Brands, their people have the degrees, okay? They went to college. They got the degree. Don't try to take the shortcut. I mean, you could do it if you want to work at a really small place and make a tiny bit of money or whatever. I mean, it's up to you, but, and this is not a rant about the importance of getting that bachelor's degree, but it's important. And when I was a teacher, I retired from teaching, I would find so many colleges and universities that had these scholarships. I'm talking about full paid tuition, room and board. And I would tell the students, you know, this place is free. I'm talking about accredited universities, not some, you know, diploma mill. I mean, real universities that's been around since the 1800s that have football teams and athletic department, you know what I mean? Sororities and fraternities and actual facilities, and they're members of major conferences, that kind of thing. But the students usually would say, oh, I want to go to UCLA. Maybe they were a B student at best. I'd say, you want to go to UCLA? They have no income, mind you, nor any way to get any money, and they wouldn't qualify for a scholarship with the UCLA, but they want to go there. I said, yeah, I want to be vice president of the world, but and then I would find a school that would be practical for what they wanted. For a scholarship with the. We're almost there, folks. Okay, and then they would say, oh, I don't know if that school's not so famous. I'd say, are you famous? Okay, so anyway, enough ranting and raving about completely impractical ideas about life that many people have. 90 proof, which means 45% alcohol. It says best enjoyed straight up, like this, on the rocks, or with a splash. I'm not going to look at the tasting notes yet. Let's look at what makes our process different. And the origins of Four Roses. Excuse my nose. Okay, it's going to dry now. It was so damp when I was walking earlier, but it should be nice today. About 74 degrees, 75 degrees on a Christmas Eve, huh? Okay, handcrafted. They explain their production. They have 4 variants, 4 little codes: O, number, S, and number. O indicates that it was produced at the Four Roses distilleries in Lawrenceburg. Then you have a number, and then S indicates straight whiskey, and then the yeast strain. They got 5 proprietary yeast strains: VKOQ, and then F. And then they got the 2 mash bills. One is 75% corn, 20% rye, and then 5% malted barley. And then B is 60% corn, 30% rye, and 5% malted barley. Okay, so then they say the 10 bourbon recipes, this chart. Now for small batch, whoa, you got 4, a set of 4 plus a set of 4 plus a set of 4 plus a set of 4. So they're saying OBSK. They're mixing yeast strain 5, O, rich fruitiness, light vanilla, caramel, and full-bodied. With B, the mash bill, the 60-35-5, corn, rye, malted barley. S, straight whiskey, and K, Kentucky distillery. With some E, 75-25, so they're blending it with the E. Okay. Eric Alliance fan says, Merry Christmas, Ron. Merry Christmas, Eric. Up there in Michigan. Chris's beer reviews. Cheers, Ron. Oh, Pantheist Echoes here. Oh, yeah. Changed my channel name. People do that constantly. Sometimes they're not cool about it, though. They'll change their name and say, don't you remember me? I was 95 Streetwise. And then on Facebook, I was Edward Smith. And then on Google Plus, I was Smithy Ed. And, you know, they have these different monikers, and they're like, can't you keep up? No. All right. And then some people keep the same name across the board, all the different social media platforms, and it's easy to keep up. But anyway, nonetheless, so here we go. I poured it in there, the Four Roses. Oh, looks like whiskey, bourbon. It's amber, right? All right. We'll go back to the tab with the comments. All right. Got my Saints cap on. New Orleans Saints. This thing is so faded. Black fades, you know, black cloth, cotton especially. But they're playing Tampa Bay today. They must win 2 in a row and have about 8 other things happen so they can make the playoffs. Practically impossible. We're not even going to talk about playoffs. We just, I go to games. I don't think I'm going to go today, but I go to games just to watch the game. Okay, I don't care. I mean, I care. I want them to win. I want them to win the Super Bowl, and I want the basketball team to win the conference, and I want the baseball team to go to the playoffs, college or the World Series. You know, also in the majors. But I mean, I'll go regardless. The team's 16-0. I'm going to go. If they're 0-16, I'm going to go. Many people are not that way. They only follow the winner. You know, the bandwagon people. Okay, so first alcohol of the day. Interestingly, not the last, but you probably knew that. You say, oh, you drink alcohol every day of your life. Untrue. I didn't start drinking beer until February '96, and I bet you there's been at least 6. Okay, well, maybe 4 days since February '96 that I have not drank beer nor any other alcohol in those 4 days. I think, I could be wrong, it could be 0 days, but I think it's probably 4 in those 20.5 years. I'm thinking that. Okay, well, my complaint about Kentucky Dale yesterday was not that it smelled and tasted bad. My complaint was that it smelled and tasted like nothing. I'm gonna give the aroma and the taste, and then I'm gonna see how it matches up with what they're saying. And I did not. I mean, I looked over it, but I don't recall what I was reading. It's very rich. I don't like flowers, and then dried flowers, and then maybe almonds and of course, alcohol. But you know, not so much you're at the doctor's office because you cut your leg and you're waiting for him to come in to stitch it up and you smell the antiseptic. It's not so much that. You get that with many with the brandy, oftentimes with the brandies. Maybe some of the golden tobacco. Some kind of vegetable oil of some sort. And I don't mean, you know, your cooking oil type thing. I don't mean that. I just mean probably like some kind of nut oil. Well, anyway, it's intricate. And we know beers can be that way. Wine, all of it. The spirits. Now, the most important part, happy liquor lovers, as Swilling Grog would say, taste test. Ooh, well, as Jackie Gleason would say, ooh, how sweet it is. Haha, exactly. I rarely change with this for the channel better. This fit the channel better. Chris says, go New Orleans, Geaux. People use that a lot down here, but it's really, that would be pronounced Joe. So people in Louisiana, they don't use French properly. Who's going to say Joe Saints? Tim Warren, I don't drink much bourbon, but Four Roses is consistently my favorite moderately priced bourbon. Really enjoy the single barrel series. Chris's beer review says, if I drink bourbon, it's usually Buffalo Trace. Ah, yeah, that's Sazerac. They bought that from Barton Brands, I think. And people sometimes say, do you like bourbon, scotch, regular whiskey? Well, you know, and there's a lot of like arguments. Like, I hate one, I like the other. I say, well, to me, they all taste good. Same thing with beer. Oftentimes people say, what's your favorite style of beer? I can't say I have a favorite. There's some I don't like as much, but I don't have a favorite beer brand because I've started naming them. Then I get down to like the top 500. So there's no point to it. So many. As an everyday drinker, it's like, you know, what's on sale. What does Walmart have for on sale? Okay, so the taste test again, 11. It's a lot of those things I said in the aroma, it's a vanilla, some coconut, a richness, a rich like oakiness, the wood. Get that on the inhalation. Maybe sugar, candy, caramelized, the light caramelized sugar. Jesus Morales says, Merry Christmas, Ron. Thanks for the great reviews. Hey, Merry Christmas back to you, and thanks for your support. I do appreciate it. I think this has a lot going for it because it's got a rich aroma and a rich taste. It's nothing harsh. It's smooth as heck. How you could just, I don't know how a person would dislike this, really. Oh, no. I don't feel competent to give wine and hard liquor ratings. I probably should have never started giving beer ratings. I should have just reviewed it and said it tastes good or it tastes all right or it tastes bad. It kept it simplified, but I'm always wanting to be so specific. A plus, A minus, or above A plus, world class. So that's kind of fun, but then you get into all the problems with people saying, oh, how could you say that? Which is fine. I don't mind arguing about it. But some people get so angry, really angry, like crazy. I hate you. You should die because we disagree about beverages. Wow. I can't even remember in my whole life getting angry at anybody because we disagreed about beverages, honestly. Or about types of seafood or candy. I don't get that, but some people have a different world outlook. Got a lot of problems in the world. I don't think arguing over food and beverages should be one of those problems. But that's my opinion. This is really nice. It tastes like a solid, you know, bourbon. What is your experience with solid bourbons? Well, this one, for one thing, but it's sort of like you want to get a job and they say you need experience. Well, you don't get experience if you don't get experience, right? You get experience by experiencing things. So there you go. You start and then you advance it, you keep going and you learn more and more. You learn by doing, and you don't do it. You don't you won't do anything if you don't do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like beer. I just started with the beer reviews. I mean, I had been doing beer reviews unofficially for 14 years before I started video reviews. So, but I started with Budweiser. I figured, well, there's a baseline, right? I knew what Budweiser was like. I wasn't a great fan of it, but I certainly wasn't opposed to it. And I even drank it occasionally. So I figured that's a good comparative thing. Drank a lot of stuff better than it. Drank a whole lot worse. But I think it's a good baseline on which to work. And that was really why I started those video reviews, because I would read reviews and people would say, you know, Budweiser, I would rather have my hands cut off and be fed poison than drink that. I'd rather, or they would say, I'd rather drink water. And I would say, what are you talking about? I have my own issues with Budweiser. Like, I don't like the aspect of it feels like somebody stuck an ice pick in your head. And I've understood people tell me it gives them a dirty hangover, a nasty hangover, which I don't drink enough to ever go into that area really. But I was thinking this is wrong. There's no way. I mean, you might say it's just like blah, ordinary, whatever, but don't say you'd rather drink water. That's silly. And so I started going through the reviews, and then you find so many that are off the wall, just crazy. And then you find some intelligent reviews, like saying, well, you know, and then they'll break, you know, you could take Budweiser, you could break it down. It has a lot of different characteristics. So to have like a simple-minded approach to it, I don't go for that. I never did. This one here, you could just really like extrapolate things with it, you know, extrapolate from it. You could bring a lot of things into it and out of it. Now you say, hold on, back up. This is not the Budweiser of bourbon. No joke. I understand that. That would be a little different, right? I don't know what brand. I'm thinking of like regular old whiskey, like blended whiskey. The Budweiser blended whiskey would be what? Seagram's 7 Crown, 7 and 7 type thing. So everybody drinks it. Of brandy would be E&J VS. That's like a good baseline to work with. For gin, it would be the Seagram's Extra Dry, right? I mean, that's just like the baseline. You can go up and down the scales. It's sort of a good place to work from. And in wine and so on, right? Rum, I don't know for rum, right? What do I know for rum? Nothing, because my experience with rum is nil. Oh, I must have had it. But there's only so many days in a week, so you can't just do this constantly. Or can you? No, but it's starting to bring out more. There's a little bit left. There's more coming from it. I would say more vanilla, more oak, and some I almost said toothpick. I can't say that on air. Thank goodness I didn't say it. Good grief. Things you think of. That's a problem with my reviews, though. A lot of people say, why did you say that? You know, why did you say it? Well, because I'm just saying things. I'm not practicing it. In other words, I'm not preempting what I figure people are going to say against the review. Like, oh, wow. It's like my reviews are just like somebody talking to you at a bar room or at your house, and you're not thinking it ahead. You're not usually planning it out. So, I mean, I might plan out like I'm going to show a football annual, because people like to see those. I have a big collection. Or I'll show a record album, you know, I'll plan that. But what I'm saying is just like comes out. And then oftentimes in the comments, I'll say, I want to retract that statement. Because when you're just talking with friends, you'll say stuff sometimes, and there's a like instant retort. Like they'll say, what are you talking about? Are you cuckoo? And you'll say, oh, you're right. I don't know what I was talking about. But with this system, you know, you get the comments people will make. Then you have to go into this long explanation of what you said, and then it's like you're saying, I wasn't really that serious at the time, and you can't. And then when the written comments, you can't pick up on inflection. So what seems just like an innocent comment, people will take it as you're being flip or ugly toward them, and you're not being that way at all. So there's a little problem with this, The only really good way to do it would be to like total constant live reviews with people hanging out with you, which is not practical. Chris's beer review said, I enjoy rum personally, as do millions every day. Someone told me no one drinks gin. It's a true statement. He said, no one drinks gin. I said, no one drinks gin. Perhaps you've never been in a liquor store, which would make a very profoundly strong argument against that statement that no one drinks gin. I don't know where that comment came from. That was like totally off the wall. Okay. What are my problems with this item? I have none. If you can think of any criticisms of this Nine Roses, Nine Roses, I'm sorry, that's a Chinese restaurant in Gretna, Louisiana, Harvey, Louisiana. Four Roses, small batch. You tell me, I can't think of any criticism. Tim Warren says, my experience with rum is basically limited to rum barrel aged beers. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that's about where I am on that. That and the Kraken, which I used to drink a lot when I was younger. Yeah, the Kraken. What happened to the Kraken commercials with the octopus? What happened? What happened to the Black Crown commercials? Okay, so now let's wrap this up. We did the blend rundown, which is complex. So let's look at the Four Roses small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey crafted from 4 select bourbons. Tasting notes. Excuse me. Awards and accolades, by the way. This year, 2016, it won the San Francisco World Spirits Competition silver medal. Last year, it won a double gold medal, which is very hard to do. That's almost like approaching Best in Show, double gold medal. Won't see that too much. 2008, 2010, and 2014. I think 2008 was when this first was introduced. Gold medal, San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Sort of like the big one, you know, like in beer, the Great American Beer Festival and World Beer Cup, sort of like the big one. Then you have some minor awards. It's kind of like in football, you have the Sugar Bowl, would be a big one. And then you have like, you say, well, we won the Liberty Bowl, and that's a nice bowl, but it's not the big one, one of the big ones. Not that it's bad to win the Liberty Bowl. Don't take me wrong now. I don't want. I might get a lot of stuff from people saying, well, my team won the Liberty Bowl in 1980. You know, I understand. I'm not an anti-Liberty Bowl-ite. I am very quite favorable towards the Liberty Bowl. I've been to the Liberty Bowl. I've attended a game there in 1998, by the way. Okay, so what are we saying here? Spicy. Yep, I'll go along with that. Rich. I said that already. Mellow. Certainly mellow. I'm feeling mellow. Fruity. I didn't want to say fruity, but yeah. Hints of sweet oak. I said oak. Caramel. I said caramel. What did I say? Light caramel? Okay. Hey. Makes me think I know something. Palate. Or how does it taste? Creamy. Yeah, I wanted to say cream, but I said, ooh, can you say cream about bourbon? People might say, you ass. Whiskey can't be creamy, you fool. But I was thinking it. I mean, I know I could be retro continuity this, but no, I did think creamy. Mellow, said mellow. Ripened red berries. I didn't say that, go along with it. Rich, said rich. Spicy, yes. Well balanced, absolutely. Moderately sweet. I did say sweet. Didn't I say sweet? I said sugar, sweet. Yeah. Finish, soft, smooth and pleasantly long. Oh, don't you say. So I think I did all right on this because what I said without reading the notes more or less matched the notes. But if I would have failed, I would have admitted it. Okay, so that's it. Any last comments? Going once. Going twice. And you know what? It's Christmas Eve. What's the hold back? But look, before you start to worry and start to do an intervention, Some of the viewers say, intervention. I want him to go off the rails. Die, die, die. Okay. This is mainly just to like go through it to get it over with. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, in fact. 2016 Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year. No, I'm not going to pay $65 for this. But for free, I'll do it. Really good. Would I ever recommend 8 Roses, small batch, limited edition? Yeah, I would recommend that 8 days out of a week. Highly recommended. Buy it and try it. And if you don't like it, I don't understand that. Merry Christmas, Ron, says Chris's Beer Reviews. Hey, you know what? Merry Christmas back to you. And to everyone else who's watching. All right, well, that's that. Enough of that. And let's see what we do next. Thanks, folks.